Think about the taxi driver who benefits from tourism. Think about the folks who work in our hotels. Think about the restaurant workers. Think about everyone in the cultural community, Broadway and the museums.
I don't think people even understand in many ways how the tourism industry works. Hotels are visible, airlines are visible, but I think most people don't understand that there are tour operators who are actually the connection between many of those elements. To be able to see possibility and opportunity in the midst of chaos, a lot of psychological strength. And then not only to do it for yourself, but to do it for your family and your employees, that they too believe.
Large building with the columns, that is the New York Stock Exchange. And this one behind me with the statue of George Washington in front is the Federal Hall Memorial. Now, Federal Hall is one of the most important landmarks that we have here in the country.
What really drew me to Inside Out Tours is that we don't just take people on entertaining tours, we don't just take people on informative tours. Every tour that we offer really carries a unique story about New Yorkers really rising to great heights and great challenges.
Inside Out Tours is an inbound receptive tour company. So what that means is that when people from around the world want to do experiences around New York, we're able to provide them with tours, and if they need it, we also provide transportation and also hotel bookings. I used to practice law, securities, and commercial litigator for 10 years. But one of my hobbies was traveling. I traveled all over the world. And I also loved history and art and culture. And it occurred to me that I lived in one of the greatest cities in the world. I really felt like all the stories of the city were not being told. And that was part of the mission of Inside Out Tours, which I launched with a childhood friend in Brooklyn. We focus on the hidden history of New York. And the social mission is to amplify the voice of marginalized populations. So we look at the diverse populations of New York, and we try to find their histories and share them with the entire world.
That for many people from these multi-generational family businesses, their faith has been a source of strength for them.
Our most popular tour is our Slavery and Underground Railroad tour.
First, I need to say that the Underground Railroad was neither underground nor was it a railroad. The primary tour that I give is for Slavery and the Underground Railroad here in New York. The whole tour is about a 2-hour walking tour down in Lower Manhattan, and it covers the 200-year history of slavery, as well as the struggle for abolition and the Underground Railroad here in New York. Harriet Tubman first escaped from slavery herself when she was just a teenager. She was about 13 years old.
Our business was growing at a steady rate each year. And I remember, ironically, having a discussion with one of our employees, and he said, "Stacy, nothing can stop you now." Famous last words, right? I remember it, March of 2020. There were some murmurings about there's stuff happening in Europe. Pretty rapidly, we saw a 93% decline in business, like overnight.
To keep new cases from entering our shores, we will be suspending all travel from Europe to the United States.
And they made most of their money off of the slave trade. See, what happened was, is after New Netherlands became New York.
So let's walk to the park and then off to Times Square.
Me and my fiance, soon-to-be husband, Derek. And he's a photographer and a videographer. And I said to him, we have to figure out a way to make virtual experiences. Like, we have to figure out a way to survive as a company. And he said, how can I help? And that's how we started to do virtual experiences. And that actually helped us survive. We were able to take the same experiences and create these 360-degree tours that we could then offer to everyone who was stuck inside.
All right, so here on this tour, we want to put the picture of him looking normal that we have.
As the city began to open up, and first with smaller groups, and the lucky part is that a lot of our experience are outdoor walking tours. And as the science began to show that, that it was less contagious outdoors, we were able to start having small groups and then larger groups.
Interested in restaurant recommendations? If you want old school classic Arthur Avenue, wants to come and buy some mozzarella also. So this is their amazing fresh mozzarella.
We create experiences that help with intercultural understanding. But as a for-profit company, there's only so much we can do with that. And so my hope is to be able in the next year or so to launch a nonprofit we call Teach for Freedom. For democracy to survive, you cannot have polarization. And one of the ways to address that is intercultural understanding. And so Teach for Freedom is going to use tourism, history, and art to help amplify the voices of both color and also marginalized groups, women, to create intercultural understanding, to support our democracy.
Building with the little white dome and the white Statue of Justice, that is our City Hall.